Hindu religion and civilization are among the world's oldest. But what do people, or for that matter Hindus, know about their own civilization? For that matter, did a Hindu civilization actually exist? Former diplomat, Rajya Sabha MP, and a prolific writer Pavan Verma argues in his eminently readable book, The Great Hindu Civilization, that not only did a civilization exist, but it's among the oldest civilization which still exists today. Let's discover Hinduism through this beautifully written book, The Great Hindu Civilization by Pavan Verma. Keep watching. Hello everyone, welcome once again to Bookswalebhaiya. Today we'll talk about the Hindu religion, the Hindu civilization through this eminently readable book by former diplomat and Rajya Sabha MP Pavan Verma. The book is titled The Great Hindu Civilization, Achievement, Neglect, Bias and the Way Forward. So it encompasses, you can say, several aspects as well as history and future of Hinduism. To begin with, I would say this is not just one book but rather many books in one, and as each chapter is very detailed and provides extensive information. To begin with, it argues a very important aspect, or it answers a very important question, that was there ever a Hindu civilization? Well, Pavanji's answer is an emphatic yes, that there did exist a Hindu civilization, and interestingly, unlike several other civilizations of the past which became historical relics over time, this is one civilization which continues to exist even today. Therein, he disagrees with various leftist historians and intellectuals who have always denied the existence of a Hindu civilization. And he argues that for something for which there is plenty of evidence, it's better not to deny it completely. By the Hindu civilization may not be without its drawbacks or limitations, but there cannot be any doubt that such a civilization never existed. He talks about the leftist authors, intellectuals, and he also talks about Pandit Nehru, who at the time of independence mentioned that he wants India to break free from the past, but in that process he believes that Hindu history, for example, it did get neglected. So while Indian people did read about various other religions, did read about the achievements of various other religions, there were several achievements attributed to the Hindu civilization which did not mention them, and which did not find any mention in the school or college textbooks. After establishing a strong case for Hindu civilization, Pavanji takes us to the very past of Hindu civilization, starting from the time of Adi Shankaracharya, and about his concept of dualism, non-dualism, or Advaita as he called it. He mentions how various Hindu intellectuals, saints or thought leaders contributed to the growth of this Hindu culture, Hindu religion. And interestingly says that after Adi Shankaracharya ji, there were several other thought leaders who put forward their views on how they viewed the world, how they viewed the gods, how they viewed the religion, the culture. And while many of them did not agree all the time, it is where that Pavanji argues that this is indeed one of the best aspects of Hinduism, that it allows various different ideas to flourish. So while one saint might not have agreed fully with what Shankaracharya said, but all ideas were assimilated, were kind of accepted, and it shaped Hindu culture or civilization as you know it today. After the Hindu thought processes, he takes us to, in the next chapter, he talks about how the Hindu civilization contributed to things other than divinity. He talks about art and culture, he talks about Natya Shastra, which contains, for example, he mentions 108 different postures for the Bharatanatyam. He talks about what was the rationale, the science behind the architecture of Hindu temples, and he says it's the Hindu temples are built not by the figments of someone's imagination, but there's a lot of thought process which went into it. He talks about contribution of people like Aryabhatta, who invented zero. He talks about Chanakya, who gave us the Earth Shastra, which is a treatise on politics and economics, you can say. So this is how he explained the contribution of Hinduism to fields other than divinity, and wherein he argues that so much to learn from this culture. After talking about what Hinduism is, what is its contribution, he talks about two important aspects in the history of Hindu civilization. The first one is the Islamic conquest. Now this idea, he says that yes, there was an Islamic conquest which unfortunately did not help Hinduism, but rather the effects were more negative, through destruction of temples, through destruction of the scriptures. Herein he argues that while many historians or some intellectuals may disagree here, that they may say that Islam the Islamic conquest contributed more, but as there is ample evidence of a destruction and the negativity which resulted, he believes it's better if we accept the things as they are. He also mentions that an Islamic conquest doesn't mean that we take that as a parameter for judging anyone who believes in the idea of Islamic religion, that the past cannot be taken as a parameter or benchmark to judge anyone today, but at the same time it's better if we accept things as they are. After the Islamic conquest, he talks about one very important aspect was the British imperialism. We all know that the British rule, the colonial rule, made India poor economically, but he points out that there's a lot of evidence to showcase that the British imperialism did not just make India poor economically but also culturally. The British rulers, he says, were full of disdain for Indian culture, Indian history, Indian architecture, of the Hindu religion as a whole, and this is very much evident in their writings and among the very well-known people. For example, Edwin Lutyens, who designed a large part of Delhi, and he had some sort of disdain for all the Indian architecture, and he said that without even understanding what it is, they interpret it in their own way, and through their education system they infuse this in the mind of Indians. And he says that no wonder when we have people today as well who believe that all things Indians or Hindus are somewhat not practical or useless, and it is the Western countries they must look forward to for any kind of advancement. This, he says, is prevalent even today and a mindset that needs to change. After talking about this negative aspects on Hinduism, he talks about the recent past, the freedom struggle, and how certain incidents which occurred which actually were not favorable for the Hindus. For example, he talks about Mahatma Gandhi's role in the Mopla rebellion, how it happened, and after Gandhiji's support to the Khilafat movement, how the Mopla rebellion happened, wherein Hindus were killed. However, these aspects again were somewhat ignored in the Indian history, which again he sees needs to be looked at from all angles and not in a sense which in the name of, you can say, secularism or any such thing, we may just ignore that something did not happen. Talking about the recent past, he also talks about the future challenges of Hinduism. He makes one important point about CAA and NRC, and he says that as Hinduism is one civilization, which has always assimilated people from various regions, religions, various practices, it's not a good idea for the government to have a law or a rule which differentiates between people based on their religion. All in all, it's a book which talks about practically everything related to Hinduism. It talks about the history, it talks about the achievements, the biases, and what to do about them, and interestingly, what to do about Hinduism as a religion, as a practice, as a civilization in the 21st century. I would say a wonderful book. It covers practically everything related to Hinduism, the civilization's past, as well as its future. One of the non-fiction books I really loved reading, and I strongly recommend it to everyone. Thank you very much for watching my video. If you think I did a good job, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more updates. Thank you.